Let's move on to quarterbacks, though. For those of you needing a Joe Burrow replacement plan, Derek Carr would be the top of my list, 36% owned. So he's the top of many people's waiver wire list. But he dazzled this last night. 275 yards, 3 scores. His interception was on like a bomb Hail Mary at the end. You can't fault him for. He's looked really good this year. I mean, the stats haven't been like blow your mind. 19 touchdowns is okay for this point of the year, but the 3 interceptions, I mean, he's been so careful with the ball, rock steady as like an actual real-life quarterback, and he's had a few big days in light of it. And you look at the schedule, Atlanta, most points allowed to quarterbacks, Jets, 4th most. You get Indy, you're not going to use him against Indy, but then the Chargers the next week. That's 4 of your next 5 weeks left in the season. You got great matchups for Derek Carr. So I like him. If you need a Burrow replacement, I think you're getting 3 out of his next 4 games. Very usable numbers. So I like more likely to be out there for you is Phillip Rivers. 27% owned. Mildly useful these last few days. 288 yards and 3 scores, 1 pick. Not a bad day from Philly Rivers against a decent pass defense of the Packers here. And if I think, Michael Pittman, if I hold him in as high regard as I do everybody else, then I got to think pretty similarly about Phillip Rivers, right? Loves the Dome, it seems. Gets Tennessee at home in the Dome this week. Bottom 7 against quarterbacks and just defense in general, and they're even more banged up than they have been. Perfect 1-week stopgap there. Unless you look and you see, oh, wait, he's got Houston the next week. Raiders the next week. And then Houston again. The Raiders is just probably an ugly game. I'll avoid that. But those Houston games could both be shootouts. Probably will be shootouts. Phillip Rivers could have a few more 3-touchdown days in his back pocket here. 308 yards the week before that. Complete dud against Baltimore. But Baltimore's a pretty good D. And right before that, 262 and 2 touchdowns, 22 fantasy points. The week before that, 371 and 3 touchdowns, 26 points, 26, 22, 8, 16, 22 over his last 5 games. I mean, he's probably top 10 quarterback with those stats, and the schedule is looking pretty juicy moving forward. If you're desperate for a quarterback, as gross as it is, Phillip Rivers could be your Burrow replacement plan. And last one, just if I could make you puke any further tonight, Daniel Jones is only 28% owned, but he 64 yards on the ground with a rushing score. A nice little Konami upside for Danny. Like that scrambling ability. This dude, 8 of his 10 matchups this year have been against bottom 20, like toughest 20 teams this year. Brutal. All red zone, the red matchups. Such a hard schedule. Just disgustingly. None were in the top 10 either. He didn't have one single easy matchup on his schedule. But now in these next 3 weeks, get Cincinnati, 7th most points to quarterbacks. Seattle, the 2nd most. Arizona, the 9th. All 3 in the green zone. The first 3 green zone games this guy has seen on his schedule. We've seen a couple 20-pointers against the Eagles. I think we could get some nice stretch run play out of Danny Jones for the quarterback desperate. Wouldn't be shocked to see Danny Jones be a viable fill-in for anybody that's really, really needy.